Earlier this week, I made a video about my American League standings predictions for this season, and of course, today is the follow-up with the National League, similar stuff. I'm going to give you guys all my insight on why I think everyone's going to finish, where I'm going to have them. We're going to go by division, and it's going to be good. I'm going to tell you guys the standings, and note that I will have their records on the side of the screen, because again, not all teams that, for example, the second place team in the NL East probably better than the second place team in the NL West. So obviously, despite it not being a 162 game season, I will have the pace of the 162 game record that I think they would have had it been 162 games. And yeah, this is being filmed on Tuesday, uploading on Saturday. Now, I don't think that anyone else is gonna met and diagnose their pitchers with Syndergaard, diagnose their pitcher with Tommy John in the middle of the coronavirus like the Mets did with Syndergaard. I think everything will stay the same over the next couple days. So, man, I thought these out a couple nights ago. And I can't wait to dive in. If you guys are new here, subscribe. I make sports videos every Wednesday and Saturday. I give a lot of debates, predictions, rankings, all that good stuff, and this was the first full normal week here on this channel. So let's get started. Starting with probably my favorite division in all of baseball, we have the NL East right now. First place, I had the Atlanta Braves repeating for a third straight year. Now, this team, they were definitely one of the elite teams in baseball, not quite on that top tier of those top 3 teams last year, but they are right there with 97 wins last year. They do lose Donaldson, gain Ozuna, so I see that as a slight downgrade overall. They lost Tehran, who was underratedly pretty good in their rotation last year. Acuna will do what he did the last 2 seasons. He's very good. He's an MVP candidate. Freeman, who was actually their best player last year, I see him declining a bit. I just do. And Mike Foltynewicz, he's gonna continue to pitch like he did in 2018 and the second half of last year. He was bad for the first half of last year, so that should help a lot. And the Braves are creating some separation between them and the rest of the division, in my opinion, despite another team in their division having won the World Series last year. Number 2, it's going to be the Phillies in second place. They're going to have a breakout season a bit. 80 wins and 81 wins in the past 2 seasons. Big year coming for Philly here this year. They are going to be healthier this year. McCutchen and Robertson, unhealthy last year. They didn't really play much at all. They're going to be back. Didi and Girardi, the Yankee duo now into Philly. I just think that it's going to be a better vibe in Philly this year. I've been saying that. Even if Didi's not amazing, him and Girardi, that's a good chemistry over Gabe Kapler for sure. And then Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, they're going to keep doing their thing. I think Wheeler is going to have a big breakout season. He will. In Philadelphia, you're making the playoffs with the first wild card with 88 win pace. Of course, we're not sure how much games they'll actually play. Now, third place, the defending champion Nationals, this is where they're going to place. 86 win pace. They're going to just be just short of the playoffs. Not quite playoff material for this year for the Nats. World Series hangover, despite not really, because of I guess that does help them, that help the cause of the World Series hangover, that they are having this suspension. But Rendon loss obviously hurts, hurts 6-7 games hurts. Thames helps, he's good and pretty underrated. Scherzer and Strasburg, I'm just not feeling it with them this year. I just think it'll be a down year for them, or perhaps decline. Even though they're not, Strasburg's not that old, and they just signed him to a major contract. We shouldn't be talking about decline for Strasburg at the very beginning of a big contract. But I do think that I just think it'll be a down year for Strasburg, maybe a bit of a decline for Scherzer. fourth place, the Mets. This is like the second straight year that throughout a lot of the winter I had the Mets being the best team in this division. But now, when I made my finalized predictions, I did have them getting the second wild card, but now I have them being fourth place, 82 and 80 pace, just above average slightly. This team, Wheeler and now Syndergaard, that's a big blow to your rotation, despite Syndergaard not being the ace Syndergaard last season. Wheeler was solid, Syndergaard was decent last year. Losing that to what you thought you would have, at least in Syndergaard this year, I don't think Stroman will be very good either. So a rotation that was once looking like amazing and was for portion of last year, I don't like their rotation very much anymore. I just don't. Porcello, Walker, that's, I mean, they're subpar players. They're not going to help make you good. Like, maybe it's good to have them as depth rather than, like, rookies that aren't ready, but, like, they're not good. The main core is very similar to last year, which is a good core to have. The bullpen should not choke away as many games as they had. This is a solid team, but the competition is very good, and I honestly just feel like the other three are primed to have better season than the Mets, at least. I don't see Washington as a time to have a great season this year, but still they are really good. Even a down season for them could be 86 win pace season. I think it's a breakout year for the Phils, getting to the playoffs finally. And the Braves are the Braves. The Mets just, I don't think it's gonna be their year, but I could definitely be wrong. Now, fifth place, obviously it's the Marlins. As you see with their pace, I do have them improving a bit. They get VR, Dickerson, Aguilar, the reliever Stanek. So they have some pieces, and it was a surprise that they actually lost 105 games considering some of the young development that they had going on last season. So I just have the Marlins improving. There's not much to talk about with them. The competition above them is way greater, and it's going to still be several years till we see the Marlins competing. The National League Central might actually be the division that I see as my favorite division to follow in baseball. Why? Because unlike the NL East, the NL Central does not have a clear-cut winner, does not have an elite team. So, who do I have winning the NL Central? It's the Chicago Cubs by 1 game with a record of 88 and 74. Again, they did nothing in the offseason, but they only won 84 games last year. Nothing in the offseason besides losing Castellanos, who did help them through that final third of the season. He walked to the division rival Reds in free agency. But the Cubs, 84 wins last year, only got slightly worse in the offseason, and they also lost Hamels, too. He went to Atlanta. But Chicago, they didn't get better, that's for sure. But, and all their stars had good years last year. It's just that their run differential is very good. And I see their stars repeating the seasons they had last year. And I just think there has to be some breakout, whether it's in the rotation, which has a low floor, not tremendously high ceiling. The rotation, just a bunch of decent/solid veterans. But if Darvish could get better, and I just think that this team, they had a great run differential, a lot better than the average 84-win team would have last season. So, I think the Cubs are winning this division. They're definitely the weakest division winner, but I still think that the Cubs are winning this division. I want them to. And that's what I'm going to pick. And it was very close because second place, just a game behind, the Cincinnati Reds at 87 and 75 pace. Castellanos, Moustakas, Miley, full season of Bauer. Gray's still there. Eugenio Suarez, their home run master. And a very good player all around, actually. A lot of people have the Reds winning this division, rightfully so as well. However, I have the Reds a game back of the Cubs, and getting that second wildcard spot is the Reds. So, it's going to be a dogfight. Third place is going to be the Cardinals, just slightly behind. Alright, so I originally had the Brewers at 80, 74 and 78, and then the Cardinals at 79 and 83. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. The Cardinals didn't do much of anything in the offseason. They definitely didn't get better, and they didn't get much worse. The Brewers did get worse, and the last year favored the Cardinals for sure. Only 2 games better than the Brewers, but a way better run differential than Milwaukee last year. Cardinals are a better team than the Brewers and will finish above them. It's reasonable that the Cardinals could win this division again. I just see it being a down year for the Cards. Just a bit over 500 in the wild card race, not getting a spot. There's not much to talk about. Flaherty is very good. Goldschmidt's is going to be what he was last year again, I think. He's on the decline a bit. He could still put up some solid numbers, just not MVP numbers anymore. Michaelis will be like he was near the end of the year after struggling for a lot of the year. He's going to be like his 2018 self. Very solid pitcher, Miles Michaelis is. And yeah, the Brew Crew, 4th place, 77 and 85. I dropped their record pace too. Oh man, you guys can't wait to see where they actually place. When I get to my power rankings video, 30 through 1. But oh man. Now, love me some Milwaukee Brewers, one of my favorite teams in all of baseball. And I root the heck for you guys. Christian Yelich, gonna be right up there in the MVP conversation yet again. But guess what? You guys had a rather rough offseason. Losing Moustakas, who was very solid. Losing Thames, who was underratedly solid. Losing Davies, who was underratedly solid. Losing Chase Anderson, who was decent, replacing him with Brett Anderson, another decent starter. Too much mehness for the Brewers this season. So we actually have some first-hand notes I took of why the Brewers are going to not be good this year. So Grandal, Narvaez, they got Narvaez as their catcher now, not as good as Grandal, but I only see it being like a half-game difference, to be honest. Narvaez is a nice catcher. Thames, though, he's gone. -2 games right there, in my opinion. Then you get, Moustakas was a very solid third baseman. And then you got Avisail Garcia to replace him. So that's about a 1-game difference or so right there of minus. Then you got a -1.5 here with this rotation swap. Jack Davies gone for that Lauer guy from San Diego. Lauer had a 4.45 ERA last year. Chase Anderson gone for Brett Anderson. That's about a straight up change. Nothing really happening there. Brett Anderson perhaps a little bit better. And then you lost Drew Pomeranz, who helped you down your stretch run last year. More importantly, you lost Brandon Lyles, or whatever his first name is, who helped you down your stretch run last year. So the Brew Crew are not very good no more. Yelich, it's going to be hard to keep up that absurd pace, even though I think he could come close. He's the best player. He's the second best player in baseball. Keston Hiura is gonna have a full season. He was underrated when he did play. If he can do that over a full season, that's gonna help you by like a game or two, which I think it will help them by a game. And then the last place team there, the Pirates, 63 and 99 pace. Traded Starlin Marte, and it's rebuilding time in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, but Pirates are doomed for the decade. Now we move to the National League West Division, a division that has been dominated for the majority of the past decade, and we entered the new decade feeling the exact same way. The Dodgers, with a 105 and 57 record pace, that's a game behind last year. They're going to easily get the 1 seed, easily win the division. They're the clear-cut favorite in the National League, as they have been for the last couple of years. Betts is better than most people in the National League. He's that good, and he's incredible. But Ryu is a huge loss, but Betts is still better than Ryu and makes them about 2 games better. Ryu's underrated and was right there in the MVP Cy Young conversation, 2.3 ERA. You Dodger fans acting like, not just Dodger fans, baseball fans acting like Ryu's lost won't hurt the Dodgers. That's pretty much like losing an MVP. You got one in Betts, though, so that's okay. You made up for it. And Betts is slightly better than Ryu. Well, Betts is a lot better than Ryu, but Ryu of last season, he's slightly better than. Bellinger was the MVP last season. I don't know if he quite sustained that. So maybe a game or two drop off from what Bellinger does. Seager's going to get better after a down year last season he had. But yeah, this team, Gavin Lux is on the rise. This team is a bit more talented just by having Betts. But there was also a lot of magic and stuff by young guys last year. And of course, the as aforementioned stuff. Ryu's loss is gonna hurt. Maeda's gone. He was nice. They might be more talented, but I don't see them having quite the season. Pretty much the same though. Still the clear-cut best team in the league. Okay. Second place is gonna be actually the San Diego Padres, 84-78 record pace. This team has been underrated by many. Now listen. They had a bad record. They came last place, 70-92 at the end last year. But here's the deal. They were a decent team for much of the year. They were right around 500 until about August, I'd say. But now, yeah, they fell off, okay? They were a bit of a subpar team last year. But listen, Machado had such a down year. He was not good, but he's going to be better. You got a full season now out of Tatis. So, I assume Machado will improve by a 2-WAR difference. Same for Tatis, by getting more time out of him. Now you got probably 2 more wins from him. Pham is better than Renfroe and will make them better despite losing some power there. Franmil Reyes, you're gonna miss the power that he brought when he was there for a lot of last season. But still, the Davies and Grisham's Milwaukee trade favors the Padres and is an underrated trade. Zach Davies was a good pitcher last year, okay? And Trent Grisham, despite not putting up very impressive numbers, he's talented, and as a rookie, just suddenly batted leadoff for the Brew Crew in the playoffs. So that's something, and Davies is something, okay? This team they're going to be significantly better than they were last season. And this season's Padres are going to be just short of the playoffs. I feel like most people have them just maybe slightly under 500 still. But I have them knocking on the door of the postseason, not quite making it. The middle team in this division, third place, Arizona Diamondbacks. Don't think about you guys and just think you're bad, because you had a very legitimate 85-win season last year. An incredible run differential as well. So that was legit, but I just don't know if you're that good, okay? Now, Greinke will be missed eventually. I think you guys are going to start to miss him. I don't think Bumgarner is going to quite be what Greinke was last year, even 2/3 of the season that you had Greinke. I don't think Bumgarner will quite make up for that. You have some nice young pieces with Zach Gallen. Marte, that's going to be hard to sustain. Now, I like Marte, and he had an incredible season, but I just don't know if it was sustainable, being that he wasn't a name at all before last season. So yeah, last season was great. I just don't know if you guys could pull that one off again. The fourth place team, it's the Giants. That's right, I have the Giants finishing above the Rockies, but with a bad 70-92 win pace. Alright, now I think this record right here is about what they actually were last season. My favorite team in the National League. However, I think this is what they finished 77-85, but it was thanks to that magical streak in July where they would get a walk-off every day, which I had a pleasure following. Right in the middle of summer on vacation, just following the Giants every day. Oh my, it was so fun, and I was so happy for them. But I think this 70-92 is what they actually were more like last year. They have so many veterans that are just aging and only getting slightly worse over time here. Bumgarner is a bit of a hit, losing him. Cueto return, that's nice. Flores is a nice offensive ad that I think is underrated. He brings a great average rather than power, so I think that translates well to their pitcher-friendly ballpark where players usually fall off on offense. I think Flores is going to rip a lot of balls in the gaps there and be really nice. And Pablo Sandoval, I don't think he could... it was amazing what he was actually doing last year, like coming back like that. I don't think he could do that again. I just don't, okay? I want the Giants to do well, but they're not quite that great. And coming in 5th place is going to be the Colorado Rockies with 68 and 94 record pace. That is pretty rough. Now, they went 71 and 91 last year. I have it slightly dropping off. Even if they figure out a little bit of the pitching, I don't think they'll figure out a lot of it. But it'll be because they actually were above 500 for a while and then just absolutely went horrible as the season went on last year. So they were like 27 and 55, right around there, to finish the season. That's brutal, and I put a lot of middling teams slightly above rather than slightly below 500. So I have to kill some teams because somebody's got to lose games, and that's going to be the Rockies, the Giants and the Rockies. They just don't have enough to really be anywhere close to the postseason despite not being in full rebuild mode. However, it is time for both of the Rockies and the Giants to at least acknowledge that you're in rebuilding mode. I'm not saying you have to lose 110 games because nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. But yeah, the Rockies did not do anything in the offseason. Arenado is unhappy. So it's going to be hard for him to play at MVP level. I know he's extremely talented. Trevor Story, he's really good as well. Blackman is falling off a little perhaps, despite still putting up really great numbers again last year. He's aging as well. The Rockies are... I keep saying on this clip. It's not fun. So we'll just end the clip. I already told you guys what I wanted to. Thanks for watching. Hit me up with one of these. We'll see you Sunday.